everyone. We are here with Mr. Rigormortis at Theyfest.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm glad to be here. I'm going to be performing later today, doing part of a drag routine. There's going to be some burlesque. We have a bunch of vendors. It's a space for queer joy, truthfully, and it's magical to be in this space with amongst everybody.
Yeah, so what is the bit of the story of Mr. Rigormortis? What was like that radioactive spider?
Yes,
That
yes, yes.
that
My Peter Parker spider
yeah.
bite moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it actually the name itself was just something I came up with in high school and just put on my Instagram, and it sounded fun and it wasn't taken, so that made sense for me. And then slowly but surely, I got into the local drag scene, and I felt that the title was kind of appropriate already because it sort of encompasses my sort of macabre, odd interests in things, and matches like the sort of style with clothing and jewelry that I use in my sets and whatnot.
Yeah, and so where would you say was like some of your influences for like the for Mr. Rigormortis?
Sure. Yeah. So there were like a couple different queens and kings I saw on different like reality, like TV, like Dragula, RuPaul's Drag Race, and then there were the local kings who really inspired me. So people like Freddie Mercury, now known as Freddie Knight, my good colleague and friend Julioso Hugoso, B. Randy, another person who's here who's like my personal favorite king is Mixed Carnal Desire. I love their looks so much. They just their looks in general out of drag are awesome, but then in drag, I think they really bring a sense of style that I don't really feel a lot of drag performers have. Like it's very unique, it's very fun. So I'm inspired both by people I looked up to who are already established, and then also people in my community who uplift and inspire me to be the best drag king that I could possibly be.
Yeah, and so when you were first starting out with your shows, what would you say? What was that first like when you first started? Were you like nervous to get in,
Yes.
or
Yes, absolutely. The way that I began, there's this local sort of unofficial drag troupe called Rookie Nights, run by Freddie Mercury at Hot Mama's Canteen every second Wednesday of the month. And not only do they have that, but they also like do drag workshops, like as far as like how do you dress, how do you dance on stage, how do you put on makeup, what style of makeup. They have all types of different workshops that they give. And Rookie Nights itself sort of acts as this place for people who are first getting into drag to compete to try to win this like nice but fun like low stakes competition. And then that gives, if you win, you get further opportunities from that. But really, it's just a space where if you're trying out drag for the first time and you're nervous or don't haven't really done anything like that before, it's like the perfect space for you to get into it. I was terrified, of course. I felt so like welcome and not judged, but I was just like kind of like shaking because I was nervous. But after the first, like, you do two sets when you compete, and after those two sets and a few other events, I feel very like I get nervous, but my excitement to perform sort of outweighs my nervousness.
yeah? What would you say it was like been your favorite show you've done so far?
Oh, that's a great question. My favorite show, probably Spud and Guts. Was something I dressed up and I didn't necessarily perform, but it was like the first time I like started making outfits that were like sort of bridging into drag, and so that's got to be my one of my favorites. Would be Spud and Guts, which is hosted by Spud, who's a local band, who's really cool.
Yeah, and then so for Dayfest, how did you first hear about that the event?
I saw posters everywhere, and then I like had been to the Lavender Room before I knew people who were part of the Lavender Room, but mostly seeing the poster, like it was very iconic too. It had like Kermit like with a mohawk and like a septum piercing, like like this, and then Miss Piggy in the back, and I was like, oh, I love that. That's really cool. And then I saw it's supposed to be this really cool thing. I showed up and I didn't even apply to vend, but I asked the person there like, hey, I just brought my like wares to sell with me. Do you mind if I just set up at a table? And they were like, yeah, go right ahead. So it was just an awesome experience. There was a ton of queer, like very visibly queer people, music, art. It was truly wonderful. So I found out about it the last time it happened at the old location and now I'm able to participate with its next rendition at a different location.
Yeah, I in terms of like Amy's Place, have you been doing any shows at Amy's Place in particular, or is this your first time being here?
Yeah, so I've come to Amy's Place mostly for the food because I do love the food, and also I had a friend in college who had they used that space for their final capstone piece for their printmaking, so they had their art in the gallery there. I've seen a bunch of punk shows here, both local and out of town. So I've never performed at Amy's Place, but I've been around quite a bit. So it's really cool to be someone who appreciates it and now able to actually have the stage yourself and perform in this space. So yeah.
All right, so if you had the power to make a dream drag show, who would be your local lineup?
That's such a good question. So, of course, I would have Julioso Hugoso because me and him are drag brothers. We're sort of starting an unofficial drag house together. It would definitely be him, be Randy, Nick's Carnal Desire, probably Marzipan, also Allegory. I could list off a bunch of people, but I think that's about 5 or 4, and I think that would be enough to fit out the show. So I'm gonna stick with those ones.
Yeah, and especially I don't think we would have this without the support of just the local community in general, especially from the queer community. Shout out to Lavender Room, of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the wonderful thing is you as a performer can dress up and feel good, in being yourself and expressing yourself through your clothing and makeup and whatnot. And then you go out to perform and you see all the queer faces in the crowd, and a lot of the time they're people that you've already seen. So you see a lot of familiar faces who consistently show up, come back, and enjoy partaking in these events. And it's wonderful because, like you said, you wouldn't be able to enjoy all of these things. You wouldn't be able to have Theyfest or drag nights or whatever if it weren't for the queer community showing up to support. So yeah, it's shout out to the queer community, shout out to my fellow queers. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy that I wish it could always be like this.
Yeah, no, it has, I know, been a bit challenging too, especially for the queer community, especially this year with some I know recent local passings with Mickey and Jordan as well.
Yes.
Yeah, how what would you say was their impact within the queer community in Buffalo?
I would say it was far and wide. I think even if you didn't know them personally, you would have partaken in an event or something that was established through them. I personally knew Mickey, and we were actually going to put together a figure drawing event because I do drag, but I'm also a queer figure model who poses for art classes and stuff for students to draw the human form. And we had been planning to put that night together. So even before I knew him personally and, we're in the stages of planning events together, I regularly went to the Pineapple Gallery, now known as the Good Stuff. I participated in their group shows. I regularly attended queer events where they had helped, sponsor it or help organize it themselves. So, their impact was immeasurable, and their loss was also immeasurable and deeply upsetting. And I find myself now I can accept that they're gone, but for the longest time I had gotten used to just being out. That's one of the aspects of Buffalo. You can be out and about anywhere, and you'll probably see someone And I just kept expecting to run into them, even though that wasn't possible. So I'm so grateful for the work that they did, and I'm also grateful that in their absence, the queer community has come together to acknowledge that loss and that sorrow, and work together to try to continue, the foundation that they built, to try to continue the events that they used to host, to take that energy and drive that they had, both with their own community as well as in local politics, and try to keep that pushing, so that it doesn't stop with them.
Yeah, and I guess just to be a bit more lighter, we got a couple of lightning round questions, this or that. So the first one we're gonna do, I like to start this one off always. Vans or Converse?
Oh, definitely Converse, because I don't know about you, I have such a hard time getting my foot in that shoe in Vans. I don't know why. It always eats up the back of my ankle. I don't know what it is. So I think Vans will last longer, and Converse tend to wear away. But I'm always gonna go with Converse.
I think the interview's done. No, it's okay. It's fine. I respect Converse too. Okay. Yeah. Stage dive or crowd surfing?
Oh, that's good. Probably crowd surfing. I feel like
Yeah.
crowd surfing is safer than stage diving because I've seen so many videos where someone runs and then a pit just opens up and no one catches them. So I feel like with surfing, you're more likely to get support than with stage diving. I think you have to be well liked to be able to pull off a stage dive.
Fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coffee or tea?
Tea. I frankly not a huge coffee drinker, not the biggest fan of tea, but I love tea a lot more than I coffee. Because I drink tea sometimes, but I like a nice chai latte. But I never drink coffee.
Fair. Yeah. And just the final question. It is, I think, there's a lot of hard work that goes into drag that sometimes I think can get a bit undernoticed or underappreciated, especially. So what would you say you feel like was one of the biggest challenges that sometimes doesn't get talked about within maybe drag spaces, or maybe within maybe more the like outside, like people will say, well, this is easy,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think like two things really. When you're first of all like when you're a drag artist, regardless of if you're a queen, a king, or anything, in between or outside the binary. I don't think people realize how much goes into drag. You gotta be able to put together an outfit. You gotta be able to do makeup, promote yourself, dance, lip sync. You have to be able to do public speaking. Like you'll be dancing and lip syncing, but sometimes you'll host and you have to talk on a mic, introduce other people. So there are all these different elements and aspects that go into drag that people don't necessarily think about. I think people might just think like, oh, you throw on like a wig and some makeup and a dress, and then you just do a little cha-cha on the stage, and it can be that for sure, but there's also so much more complicated stuff that goes into like advocating for yourself and promoting yourself. The second thing I would want to say that I think at least in the king scene it is talked about, but often in the queen scene and just in drag in general, kings are often underbooked specifically. So I think one thing that I would want to put a spotlight on is to book more drag kings, so that drag kings can have a lot of opportunity and there can be more diversity in the types of drag that we see on stage.
Yeah. And what would be your advice, I think, to like starting out though, as well? Because like it can, because there is like sadly, as well, like there's unfortunately some misconceptions and everything that's been brought about by like certain outside forces that do not need to be named, but we know what they are.
Yeah, no,
We know what they are.
I understand completely.
Yeah.
I can read between the lines.
Yeah.
but yeah, for me, the way I started and got into it was I did some research on drag itself and like different performers and what I liked about them, and then also as far as like actually learning skills. I mean, you can go on YouTube and that can be a good way. But also, I went through Rookie Nights personally. So if you follow Rookie Nights on Instagram, you can see when they are hosting different workshops, and they host a variety of different workshops. So if you are good on makeup and like dress, but you're not too confident on your lip syncing skills or dance, there are workshops that specifically target these different things. So like if you want to get in and it seems like a very daunting task, and it is, I would say that go through Rookie Nights and take those workshops, do some research in your free time on things that you like. And just know that this is an incredibly supportive community that wants you to be around and wants you to perform and is excited to see new faces and new types of drag. So even though it's daunting, I would hope that you could feel safe and secure in knowing that your community's got your back in however you choose to express yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing this, Mr. Rigormortis.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. All right. Enjoy the rest of Theyfest and slay.
I will definitely slay come sometime after 4:30.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll be here till 7:00.
All right.
Absolutely. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right.